hit a little bit differently too, because in terms of his general lifestyle, X Games, and a lot of risk-taking to be dying on the field, so to speak, gives it a different sort of tint, and the entire country was sent into mourning. Another icon, not just in the sport, but generally in terms of his philanthropy and his general activities as well. I actually didn't know him for the sports. I knew him for many of his activities outside of rally racing and the likes. Unfortunately,
I did never hear about him before.
I did never hear about him before. And as an avid sports person or person who takes in sports, generally consumes sports, there's some names that just pop out every so often, and there are quite a few over in the world of NFL. Similarly, you may not necessarily, I don't care for NFL because it's not football, but you knew all about the accidents, you know, like generally you pay attention to most of those things. And bringing it back home though, Justice Frank C. Prasad is to be awarded the highest honor of a non-resident by India. Well, at least that was the report, but it would have been things that we are going to bring it back home, because you all don't know who are talking about in sports. Don't particularly care either. And so we will bring it back home, as today's show is filled with many locals that we want to pay attention to.
Today's show quickly, I just wanted to mention the fact that I know that we didn't get a chance to do it yesterday, but a lot of things actually kicked in from January 1st in terms of the budgets. I know, for example, the personal income tax exemption limit, it was increased from 84 to 90, so which means that if you make less than 75,000, well, 7,500 per month, you'll now be exempt from income tax. There's a one-year VAT waiver for manufacturing companies purchasing new equipment. There's an implementation, which I think this one is interesting. There's the implementation of an apprenticeship allowance to encourage more businesses to hire persons between the ages of 16 to 25. This, of course, is meant to encourage that transition to work and give you that on-the-job training as you come out of school. So a lot of things have been happening since that January 1st kicked in. We also, Cal would have announced earlier as well that they would have increased their prices for tickets, and also the elderly are now required to pay $25 more when they use the ferry. So a lot of things would have kicked in on January 1st. So if you have a chance, just go to your dailies, keep an eye on the news to see how those changes can affect you.
Yep. But today, ladies and gentlemen, it's all about celebration. We're celebrating quite a few things this morning. The Institute of Marine Affairs are going to join us to celebrate its 45th anniversary. Panorama is celebrating 60 years of Panorama. Imagine that. And of course, AFET is celebrating, I think it's 20 years. I could be wrong on that one. But it's definitely a celebration happening on the Now Morning Show this morning. We encourage you to stick around. We have that and so much more. Anchor Will is here. Kimberly D'Souza is here. I'm Ruckus. We go till 8 a.m. Stick around.
Where all the romance becomes the enemy.
The best for your baby is at thebesttoys.com. From the best strollers, car seats, baby carriers, high chairs, booster seats, rockers, jumpers and bouncers, walkers, baby blankets, feeding accessories, bathtubs, gyms and playmats, playpens, cribs, baby swings, changing tables, diaper bags, clothing and accessories, and the widest range of educational toys. We carry Infantino, Dr. Brown, Avent, Graco, Chico, Fisher-Price, VTech, Leapfrog, Disney Baby, Delta Children, Medela, and Twist Shake.
Visit us in-store at Movietown, Port of Spain, Forces Flagship McBean, or Eastgate Mall, Trin City. Or shop online now at thebesttoys.com. No credit card required.
And remember, the best for your baby is at thebesttoys.com.
If it matters to you, it matters to us. We report the news. News in real time. TTT News, first at 6:30 p.m. TTT News, online at www.ttt.live. TTT News, committed, accurate, relevant. TTT News, nightly at 6:30.
On the next episode of Nicole Larson Live, Living in Victory every day.
The lady that was born to shine. Who am I talking about? The icon, Carol Addison Lewis. Hi,
Hello. You're making me blush with that kind of introduction. I'm kind of looking over my shoulder. Now, who's talking about? Yes. Could that be me?
It has to be you. And you look, just before I ask you any other questions, when you get this sort of intro, how do you feel? Because it's coming from your own Trini people, Trinidad and Tobago.
We need to identify our financial goals for both the short term and the long term. Not only in terms of words, but also by attaching figures and dates to those goals.
Life does come with many curveballs, but don't allow the struggle to blind you from what God is going to do in you and through you.
Nicole Lawson Live, living in victory every day. Every Wednesday at 5 p.m. and Saturday at 7:05 p.m. on TTT.
TTT News, online and fully interactive. Follow us on social media at TTT Live Online.
Welcome back inside the Now Morning Show. I hope that you have your coffee, you have your tea and your breakfast, and you're getting ready to take in the information we're about to give to you, because the Institute of Marine Affairs is celebrating 45 years in 2023. And we're going to put that inside your spotlight on now.
Now, this year, the Institute of Marine Affairs will be celebrating its 45th anniversary. IMA was established with a mandate to collect, analyze, and disseminate information relating to the economic, technological, environmental, social, and legal developments in the marine affairs, and to formulate and implement specific programs and projects. We're going to be speaking with Dr. Rahana Juman, who is the acting director of the Institute of Marine Affairs. Dr. Juman holds a PhD in zoology from the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine, and a Bachelor of Law from the University of London. Dr. Juman has been conducting research on coastal wetlands, including seagrass beds, for the past 26 years, and has been published and has authored 2 books on coastal wetlands. So, of course, you know that we are in good hands. Dr. Juman, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
Good, thank you. Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Well, first of all, congratulations to you and, of course, to the Institute to making it to that 45-year milestone. What do you consider as some of the major achievements for the institution?
We've had a lot over the years. I mean, when IMA was set up, it was basically to fill a data gap and collect information on our marine and coastal environment, which is very, very critical for our own national development and so forth. And over the years, we have developed a number of programs. We have done some of the first ecological assessments that was ever done on our coral reefs, on mangrove forests, on our coastline. We've provided information that has been used to inform a lot of the environmental policies and plans. We have also developed management plans for marine protected areas such as the Buku Reef, the Nariva Swamp, and more recently we were very much behind the development of an integrated coastal zone management policy for Trinidad and Tobago, again to help us in terms of the sustainable development of our marine resources, but also to adapt to the impacts of climate change. Yes. And just last month, actually, we received ISO accreditation for our labs, environmental quality labs, and it's for the scope of nitrates and nitrates and nitrites, which are nutrients. And basically, it says that we have reached international standards in terms of our management system and the accuracy of our information and so forth.
Nice.
So we've had a lot. And then I think what I always think about is all the many people that have passed through the institute. The IMA has been a training ground over the years for many folks who have gone on to much larger, lucrative positions, both at the universities in Trinidad and Tobago, as well as international and international organizations and so forth, banks, UN, So it's that it provides that home for young scientists to come and really do things that they love to do.
Yeah. Now, Dr. Juma, one of the things I'm hearing is that the Institute is very, very heavily involved in projects and monitoring the coastline. What are some of the impacts that we've seen thus far as it relates to some of the reports that would come from these projects?
So one of the oldest monitoring program we have is our coastal monitoring in terms of looking at our beaches, our beach monitoring, looking at erosion and accretion. And we've been monitoring that for over 20 to almost 30 years. And we know how the coastline is changing, what areas have been eroding, what areas have been accreting. We've been actually measuring more erosion than accretion. And one of the things we're picking up now is accelerated coastal erosion in some areas, some of it due to, construction along the coastline, but a lot of it due to impacts from climate change, storm surges and so forth, coastal flooding. Just last week, we've had situations with Maracas, Pigeon Point, Manzanilla, with the rough seas, and the impact that has on our coast. And my guys are actually out doing the monitoring to look at what has happened most recently.
Now, you keep mentioning two words, erosion and excretion.
Accretion.
What is the difference between the two?
Erosion is when you lose sand from the beach, and it's on a long-term basis. Accretion is when it's the opposite of erosion in that you have accretion, you have buildup of sand on the beach. So with erosion, your coastline recedes.
Right.
With accretion, it basically
fills and goes back.
Expands. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what sort of, if we look, for example, at that Mansan stretch that actually collapsed, what sort of impact or effect, or is it going to have an impact and effect on that coastline? And as we look at our roads and the things that's happening, what sort of impact is that going to have?
So where the Manzanilla Road is built is on the East Coast, which is a high-energy area. So you always have issues with erosion from the seaward side, and we have actually estimated erosion along that coastline, and that's why the Coastal Protection Unit is actually putting up coastal defense mechanisms. And then on the other side of it, you have the Nariva Swamp wetland, which is our largest, most diverse wetland. And with extreme weather events and such as rainfall, heavy rainfall, you have the water running off from the wetland and causing impacts as well on the infrastructure.
Yeah.
Now, one of my major concerns is the Nariva Swamp, being a wetlands ecologist, because the swamp, being a freshwater swamp, is there because you have these sand barriers. And what you have is the cocal, which is a sand barrier that actually prevents the sea from going in too much. So that's why you have this freshwater system. However, the cocal is eroding. So it's going to become challenging in that we're going to probably have that wetland transition from being primarily a freshwater, maybe to more estuarine saline. But with loss of freshwater ecosystems, of course, you lose your freshwater biodiversity.
Yes.
So those are some of the concerns we have to address in terms of adapting to the impacts of climate change.
Dr. Juman, is there a solution where everyone wins? Is there a solution where we can protect the wetlands, where we can have that road, and where we can also have the beautiful beach as well?
Yes, but it takes everybody. Everybody has to come on board, and that's the whole purpose of integrated coastal zone management, getting all stakeholders on board for us to make a cohesive, comprehensive decision as to how we use our coast and what we use it for and how we protect our ecosystems. Because those ecosystems, of course, will provide us with services that are important for our existence and for our livelihoods. So we have to find a way to conserve these ecosystems so we could conserve the services they provide to us. But also we have to live and we have to be able to earn a living. So it's creating that balance between how we use our environment and how we conserve aspects of it.
Yeah. And Dr. Juman, very quickly, because this is very, very interesting to me, very quickly, what are some of the services that biodiversity can supply to us?
So I'll just give you examples of our coastal wetland, our mangrove forests and so forth. It provides coastal protection against storm surges and so forth. It acts as well as a carbon sink. More and more we're learning that these blue carbon ecosystems, or these marine ecosystem, sequester or absorb a lot of the carbon dioxide that is responsible for climate change. Their habitats, they provide nursery for juvenile fish and shellfish that we feed on, that have commercial values, and they provide organisms that have pharmaceutical values. They provide the natural infrastructure for our tourism. You know, people go to dive on our reefs. So numerous ecosystem services they provide to us.
Now, tell us about some of the projects that the Institute work on, because I think you were talking about one that's been in existence for over 30 years. Yeah. I was reading up about as well the Carib Coast project, so tell us about some of those projects.
So we have our ongoing national conservation program where we monitor our coastlines. So we monitor our beaches, coral reefs, our mangrove forests, our seagrass beds, and so forth. We monitor water quality. In addition to that, we're engaged in some projects, regional projects. One is the Carib Coast, which was looking at a regional project looking at, again, coastal erosion and the impacts of climate change, and trying to develop hydrodynamic models that can help us predict what will happen in the future based on forecasted sea level rise and so forth. And then there's another one we're working with the Association of Caribbean States. Again, this is Sandy Shoreline Project, where the intent is to develop a monitoring program throughout the region so that we collect the same data the same way and we can do comparisons. And also, too, in terms of beach rehabilitation, a strategy to rehabilitate beaches that have been eroded. So those are some of the ongoing projects. And
as we look forward to 2023, we're in the new year already.
So we have a lot of exciting stuff happening. Yeah. Now, I'll tell you, first to commemorate our 25th anniversary.
45th?
Sorry, my 45th anniversary. To commemorate that, we have a number of events planned. One is through funding from the Republic Bank Limited. We're publishing an anthology of articles, newspaper articles that we would have published over the 45 years of the existence of IMA. So that would be a publication. We would have our long service award, and we have some staff events planned. But in addition to that, we have started community symposia. So 2016, we've had that. And, well, of course, 2020, 2021, we couldn't have any. 2022, this year, we had one in Caroni. And we're planning to have two this year, one in Tobago and one in Trinidad. We're currently also constructing our field station in Tobago at Pigeon Point. So we're expanding in terms of our, expanding our reach. And we're doing a lot of exciting work in Tobago in terms of doing work on coral reef and seagrass restoration. And we're starting with Green Fund money. We're starting a fish to develop a lionfish fish pot fisheries in Tobago to help us address the invasion of the lionfish, which is an invasive species. So these are some of the things that we're going. One of the big achievements, too, that I forgot to mention is IMA is also the Regional Activity Center for the Land-Based Sources of Pollution Protocol under the Cartagena Convention. So we have a leadership role in terms of helping the region address impacts from land-based sources of pollution. So we have worked there where we've been helped in developing a regional nutrient management strategy, because some of the major impacts on our coastal ecosystem is pollution from land-based sources.
Now, Dr. Juman, as we look forward to 45 years and beyond, where do you see the institution going? What sort of other projects you think would be interesting for us here in TNT?
Well, in Trinidad, we have to look at our current situation and things that we need to do. We need to prioritize. We have degraded ecosystems that we need to rehabilitate. We also have to look at livelihoods and how these are being impacted by climate change. And we talk about developing a sustainable blue economy. We have more ocean space than land space under our jurisdiction. And if we want to exploit our oceans, we have to do it in a sustainable manner. So we want to assist in terms of looking at a sustainable blue economy and how we can utilize our marine resources in a a sustainable way. One of the other things that we're doing is we've actually just set up our mariculture facility to do growing marine species, again, to take the pressure out of because our natural fish stocks are depleted or overexploited. So looking at alternatives, so growing fish in cages and in mariculture and other saltwater species. And again, that's to help with as well with food security. So those are some of the areas that we're
looking to go into the future.
Yeah.
Now, Dr. Juman, I know that the IMA, of course, is funded by the government, but do you also encourage, let's say, investors, in particular, if you want to do a certain project that may not necessarily be covered by the subvention that you're getting?
Yeah, so actually, we've had to basically the last couple of years, because we've received, because of the economic situation and so on, our subvention has been cut. So we have actually been looking outside for grant funding and for public-private partnerships, working with our private sector, because they benefit as well from the environment. So linking up a lot with private sector for funded projects and so forth here. So that is something that is actively pursued. And international agency, the Green Climate Fund, the JEF, Global Environmental Fund, and all those.
Nice. Well, Dr. Juman, thank you so much for coming and just giving us a taste of what you have for your 45th anniversary. Again, congratulations to the Institute and everybody who is there, and continue doing the work that you're doing to protect our coastline and, of course, our marine life. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And that was Dr. Juman. Of course, she is the acting director at the Institute of Marine Affairs, just giving us some updates on their 45th, actually, anniversary. Stay with us, because up next we are celebrating 60 years for Panorama. You do not want to miss that one. Stay with us.
The best birthday gifts are at thebesttoys.com. Shop for the best brands you love at the best prices. Like VTech, Leapfrog, Fisher-Price, Play-Doh, Hot Wheels, Barbie, Cocomelon, LOL, Baby Alive, Crayola, Lego, Nerf, and remote control vehicles, kids learning desks, and educational toys. Ride-ons, bikes, drones, science toys, and board games and puzzles. And a wide range of baby items. We also have the best devices for school, like laptops, the Amazon Fire 7 tablet, the Amazon Fire 8, 10, and Kids Edition tabs, as well as cases and accessories.
Visit us in-store at Movietown, Port of Spain, Forces Flagship McBean, or Eastgate Mall, Trin City, or shop online now at dbesttoys.com. No credit card required, and remember, we have D-Best Toys at the best prices.
I am Penny Gomez, and welcome to Pop, the award-winning Pop. Aye, 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 it's the rhythm man himself, Shirley Winchester.
Oh, Panorama.
So, Shirley Winchester, this is your line.
I try to find that sweet spot.
Oh, you get my sweet spot?
I wanted to create that image for myself. You see me, I think I'm all my clothes on the stage.
And a stripper was what you decided to go with, Eddie.
I run boxer shorts.
Help us. Help us, help us. You don't have to use all the ingredients. Use what you think will not give me diarrhea.
So mine kind of close to a bum.
Are you allergic to peanut butter?
I'm just allergic to anything tasting bad. This shirt is throwing me off. The color seems extra long.
This one called Stay Home.
I think we're doing $1 wine this here around here cycle shorts.
There is no excuse for this.
Well, let's say I am the Zessa.
Hey.
And everybody feeling Irish. What we do? What?
बेशक मेरे साथ ऐसा क्यों होता है? क्या कमी है मुझ में? क्यों भगवान ने प्यार वाली लाइन मेरे हाथ में बनाई नहीं है क्या? भैया का भी प्यार नहीं मिला, भैया ने भी सोचा कोई चुना, सब कुछ उसी के नाम कर दिया और माती ने भी वही किया.
Welcome back inside the Now Morning Show. So happy to have you here with us. This morning we continue celebrating. This time around we celebrate with Pan Trimbago because it's 60 years of Panorama. I want to welcome the president of Pan Trimbago, Mrs. Beverly Ramsey Moore, who joins us via Zoom. Good morning.
Good morning, good morning. Happy New Year to you and to all of Trinidad and Tobago.
Happy New Year to you as well, and all the best for the year. Now, this is a big year for Panorama, a big year for Pan Trimbago. How are you feeling?
Excited, excited. You know, we have kicked off Carnival since November, where we've had our single pan bands and we've had the finals. And so we move right in to the new year with our small bands. And it's going to be a fantastic year for us as we celebrate our 60th anniversary of Panorama, which would have started in 1963.
Now, tell me some of the achievements that you have been able to say you can mark over the 60 years that at Pan Trimbago you guys are very proud of.
Yes, well, you know, Pan was born out of struggle and out of resilience. And since we would have started in 1963 with just a few bands, today we can boast of over 153 bands. We now have Panya Judging, which is taking Pan to the community. As we like to say, Pan is community soul. Yeah. And you know that one of the greatest things for us is that Panyard crawl. That Panyard crawl is something else, especially when we talk about the large band crawl, where thousands of people come out. You know, Pan is Trinidad and Tobago, and it's a sense of ownership that we feel, and the people are really, really patriotic. So we've done that. In terms of the prizes, imagine since 1963 to now, we can boast of $1 million in prize monies going to our large band category, medium, 600, 400, small, and coming down where we've just increased the single pan band to 300,000. And so there is a lot that we can boast of, especially now where Pan is now all over the world. People are now having panoramas throughout the world. A number of countries are now looking at what we have put down at our template, and they are now having panorama during their carnival. So I think we have gone a long way, and it is something that we can be really proud of within recent times. And that too, I am so proud of the work that UTT and the University of Trinidad and Tobago, University of the West Indies, what they're doing with respect to bringing out a number of young musicians who are now practicing their trade in the various categories. We now have a number of young people who are now tuners and arrangers, and that is a significant achievement for us here in Trinidad and Tobago.
And of course, it's very important to be able to carry on that legacy so that we have tuners and arrangers coming out from each generation as we continue to go forward. One of the things that I know this year we celebrate, and the theme is nothing sweeter than Pan. What does that theme signify to Pan Trimbago? What does it mean for us as a country?
Nothing sweeter than Pan. Pan in itself is an instrument that is so therapeutic. The music is happy music. It is one that unites. I mean, when you think about what happens in that North Stand and on that fantastic, or we call it our Savannah party, when you think of what happens with Trinidad and Tobago, there is no color, there is no division. It just brings and unites us together. So we are saying nothing sweeter than Pan. And we believe that we should even move even further, that Pan heals. And for 2023 and beyond, we believe that we have to really go back in the community and use that sweetness and that healing power of Pan to assist in transforming our communities and in transforming the lives of our people, to use it to eradicate poverty, to eradicate crime. You know, Pan prosperity, not only musically or financially, but socially. And I think we are going to definitely concentrate on the various impacts that we can create with that sweet Pan that we have here in Trinidad and Tobago.
Definitely. And one of the impacts that we're going to make is 30 bands coming out this Saturday for the small conventional band semi-final. Tell me the plan for this Saturday. What's happening? How is it happening? How can we get tickets? Give me the full rundown.
Right. So the plan for Saturday is at 4 p.m. at Victoria Square. We have 30 semi-finalists in the small band category. They are going to come out to fight for a spot in that final 14. I can tell you that the excitement is just boiling over in this category. We start at 4 p.m. sharp. We invite Trinidad and Tobago to purchase the tickets. You can go online, purchase the tickets. You can also get on our social media pages and see all the information. Purchase your tickets also at Queen's Park Savannah at our Treasury Department. We have tickets there for sale, and also at Pantry and Bego's headquarters, Corner of Duke and Corner of Duke and Melbourne Street. We are right there on the other side of Victoria Square, on not on the Park Street side, but on the opposite side. And you can purchase your tickets there, $150 for a ticket for a single and $200 for a couple. So we expect, and it's going to be very exciting. Our line minister, Randall Mitchell, called me yesterday, and he said he has some exciting news for PAN people. So I told him, well, you know what? You have to bring that news to the PAN community on Saturday. So our minister is going to be there. So if you want to know what that exciting news that minister has for Trinidad and Tobago, come down to Victoria Square on Saturday.
All right, fantastic. One of the things you mentioned before, Mrs. Ramsey, was you're going to use PAN, or you would like to be able to use PAN to eradicate poverty. I'm very interested in how those two things go together, because over the years we often see or hear of the cry of the PAN man speaking about, you know, having to go to lengths to find resources to be able to do what they need to do. How do we use the PAN to eradicate poverty?
All right, so PAN is community-based. PAN in itself, a Panyard practice in itself is just a community festival. And we are encouraging our band leaders. You have a wonderful orchestra. You use your orchestra not only for Panorama, but you use your orchestra in that sacred space in your community to generate revenue. So therefore, institutional strengthening and training and empowerment will play a critical role as we move forward. They have to understand you can't invest. I mean, when you walk in a Panyard and you will see an orchestra setup, you're talking about $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 in instruments. You're gonna pack those instruments up and wait for Panorama to get some kind of government grant. You have to become creative in the space. So Pantry and Bego has a role to play in terms of equipping our membership as to how they can use the investment to generate revenue for their players. We've seen the model, Trinidad All-Stars, BP Renegades, all those major bands. We need to not only play for enjoyment or to you know, people like say PAN is waiting and people hardly like to pay to come into PAN events. But we have to find a new way of doing things so that we can generate revenue in the space. When we generate revenue in the space, it's not only the Panyard will benefit, but all the businesses around the area will benefit. They too can provide employment for some of the persons in the community. So it's a spin-off that can trickle down into the very community, the economics of the community. And so we want to take a closer look at that in terms of being creative and impactful and empowering in 2023.
Definitely. We look forward to seeing how that plays out, and I encourage it and I support it definitely 100%. Recently, we would have lost a legend, an icon, and a defender of the culture and the PAN in the form of Dr. Leroy Callis, the Black Stalin. Before we leave this morning, I just want to offer you the opportunity to extend some words on to Stalin or his family.
So on behalf of Pantry and Bego Central Executive or regional executives, and the entire Steel Pan community, you know, we expressed our deepest condolences to the family of Black Stalin, who we are very close with. We know even his grandson, who is an arranger, and his wife. We've always been there, giving our support to them. We have lost an icon. We are so sad that he is going home to meet his maker, but he is in a better place. I can tell you he is in a better place, and his memories will definitely live on. Long live the Black Stalin, Leroy Caliste.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Beverly Ramsimo, for joining us this morning, and congratulations in advance. I know on Saturday you're going to have a fantastic time inside the small conventional band semi-final. It's happening from 4 p.m., yes?
Yes.
4 p.m.
Yes,
at
4 p.m.
Victoria Square in Port of Spain.
That's right, correct. And we look forward to Trinidad and Tobago joining us. Come out and support the young people in PAN. Give them your support. And then for the finals is on the 14th of January at the Queen's Park Savannah.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care. All right, that's Mrs. Beverly Ramsimo. She's the president of PAN Trinbago, just sharing with us what's happening this weekend. As far as Panorama is concerned, we're getting ready for the big one. But for now, it's the small conventional band semi-final happening this Saturday at Victoria Square. You don't want to miss it. We'll take a quick break and we come back with more. Stay tuned.
So give me some pitting boom, man, man. Give me some licking king, man, man. Give me a melody, man, man. Panorama energy, man, man.
Tis the season to be wealthy with plenty, plenty money. Jump in the money machine and grab 10,000 weekly. Be mobile spreading share. All my bills paid for the year. And 100 grand too. With green I will get through. All I want is cash for Christmas. This year my pocket nice. I win in with Be Mobile.
Top up, take a plan, sign up, upgrade, or pay your bill to win thousands in cash prizes. Get all you want for Christmas with Be Mobile.
I'm Renee Sion with another edition of Caribbean Week in Review.
It's again Didi and we outside. Yes guys, we're back with season 2. Remember to like, share and subscribe to Touch Tobago Live. We are on TTT Limited. We are giving you everything Tobago. So come touch Tobago with me now. Your girl Didi outside.
TTT News, delivering more news more often to more people. Follow us on social media at TTT Live Online. Log on to www.ttt.live.
Here are your COVID-19 isolation tips. Protecting others while in quarantine or self-isolation. While in quarantine or self-isolation, use safety measures to protect yourself and community from spreading COVID-19. Being in quarantine or self-isolation can make you feel anxious or stressed. Ensure that you take care of your emotions. Physical distancing does not mean socially disconnected. Stay connected with family and friends digitally. Keep a daily routine. Exercise daily, get rest, eat healthy, engage in activities, avoid unhealthy behaviors, and seek information from credible sources. You are not alone.
Patrice again. We grown up, I'm a big girl now. We grown up, we grown up.
Good morning and welcome back to the Now Morning Show, where we encourage you to make a difference now. This year is upon us, and maybe one of your resolutions is to do exactly that. Perhaps you intend to do so by joining associations of dynamic proportions. Our next guests will inspire you to do exactly that, as we are joined today by two members of the Association of Female Executives of Trinidad and Tobago, particularly members of the board, Miss Melina Simon O'Neill and Miss Simone Francis Whittier. Good morning, ladies, and welcome to the Now Morning Show.
Good morning, Ayinka. Thank you for having us.
Thanks. So we will begin with proper titles because, Melina, you are currently the president, and Simone, you are the president-elect. Yes, ladies?
That is correct.
Now, to each of these titles, we also have to add quite a few others because, as the name implies, executives in your own feet, many CEOs, many entrepreneurs on the board. But this morning, we will start with you, Melina, because as a wedding planner, an event designer, and entrepreneur, you certainly can be someone that not just females, but anyone can look up to towards a brighter 2023. Tell us about your role in AFET and perhaps your story as to how you would have joined altogether.
Thank you. Well, AFET is dear to my heart, and it is really an honor to have been afforded the opportunity to lead this distinguished body. I came to this organization sometime in about 2015. I was seeking networking opportunities, a forum where I can connect with like-minded women, a forum where I can receive mentorship and guidance as I sought to elevate myself, my brand, and, my career. And AFED provided that opportunity. Over the years, it allowed me, to grow, to connect with some fabulous, amazing executive women throughout Trinidad and Tobago. But most importantly, it also provided a platform for me to mentor and give back. And so this is why we are here to tell you a little bit about what we have planned this morning and for the rest of the year. I am honored, as I said, to have persons like Mrs. Francois Whittier, who is here as president-elect. And she herself will tell you her story, because ironically, I think we were both pinned on the same day when we joined AFET.
Nice. And you have the Tobago end of things covered. So let's jump across then, Mr. Whittier. Tell us a little bit as to your inspiration or motivation to align with AFET as well.
Much like Melina, first let me say thank you for having us. This is a great opportunity for us to highlight the sort of work we do in AFET. For me, being from the southern part of the island, so Melina has Tobago, I'm from South, Faizabad in particular. And growing up, I always had women in my family, cousins who have always been very socially active, and AFET was no different. So having had a relative who was also very actively involved, we were on campus together too, Melina and I.
Oh, nice.
We would come up to all the AFET events, they had Suit Me Up, and I've always been around the organization. But about in 2018, I decided to make it official and join officially, even though I was always kind of just there participating on the fringes, looking on. So for me, it's an opportunity to learn, to grow, as Melina said, to network with other women, because I think for professional women, we need to have that sort of support network, knowing that there are others who are just like us, moving along in the world, trying to find their place in the world. And AFET gives you the opportunity to do that. So that's why I joined.
Sounds fantastic. In terms of female looking on, how do we then become a part of that? Melina, you alluded to some of the events and plans for the new year. So is there a calendar of events that this new board wants to roll out to us immediately? Or do we have plans to look forward to at the very least?
Ironic that you asked. The membership and potential members can look out for that calendar of events, which will be rolled out pretty soon after our next strategic planning meeting. And so you can mark your calendars. But I would tell you, while I don't have all the dates as yet, persons can look forward to our IWD, or International Women's Day celebration, on March 8th. That is always a signature event of AFET. They can look forward to our annual Suit Me Up in November. And as you know, Ayinka, that is our flagship fundraising event that provides clothing and business wear to young and upcoming female professionals at really bargain cost. And of course, there's our leadership forum, which is a platform that we provide for women all over the region, because last year, we're in 2023.
Right.
Last year we had quite a few dynamic speakers, two of whom came from the Caribbean or neighboring Caribbean islands. And so we are looking forward to those things. We do have monthly membership meetings that occur on the last Thursday of every month. And so if you are thinking of joining us this year, then you can, of course, start with one of our membership meetings, because they are always filled with knowledge, education, training, and of course, we do have some lovely social events, as Simone would have alluded to. Yes?
Nice. I like the sound of things, not just because it is the opportunity to meet like-minded females, but to make impact. Now, I noticed that on the board we have directors of programs and social outreach, even research and public advocacy. So perhaps many of these events will lend themselves to those causes and perhaps others. Any particulars that you would like to highlight this morning? Perhaps Simone, specifically coming from a background of everything from HIV and AIDS to liquor and cocktail, quite a broad spectrum of interest and actual experience. What are the specific causes that we perhaps can look forward to in the eventual rollout?
Well, for me, I will tell you, I was the former director of research and public advocacy, so that's very near and dear to my heart.
Right.
So we do a lot of advocacy. We participate in everything. Every time they have a government consultation, NGO networking, we are there to lend a voice to what our membership, because we are a membership organization. So we always make representation for women in the workplace, women's rights, women's health issues. So last year, actually for the last 2 years, we have been looking at gender-based violence, and we will continue to do so. We've had a number of, workshops, training sessions, workplace sexual harassment, teaching women about their rights and how they could be empowered to make representation for themselves. You know, we will continue to look at issues which plague women, their health, women in the workplace, mental, physical health. We had sessions last year on the psychological effects or the impacts of COVID, and teaching women again to cope and to be able to be resilient in this sort of environment. Now that we're coming off the tail end of the pandemic, we are going to have more sessions along those lines as well. So members and non-members, people who are interested in joining, can also participate in some of those sessions. And I know, Melina, there's something that a baby that we were talking about last year in terms of training female entrepreneurs, providing that sort of, environment to kind of foster and nurture them. So we have a lot of things that we plan this year. I don't want to give away everything, but definitely stay tuned.
Well, we have to stay tuned to find out not just about the events and the causes, but of course to meet the other members on the board. I understand that we have at least 10 females on this board, yes?
That is correct. 10 females who bring a very complex wealth of leadership experience and technical expertise that I know would ensure that we meet all our strategic objectives this year. These ladies are on fire. I am so privileged and excited to have this team with us. And listen, as Simone said, real focus on advocacy, empowering and transforming the lives of the women we serve, and really creating serious change in our society to just make life a little easier for women at all levels.
And in that case, we say thank you very much for joining us this morning and igniting that fire within all of us, not just the females, but to the ones who do want to join in. We will encourage them to check you both online, because you are very much available both on Facebook and Instagram, I see. So let me say thank you very much to Miss Melina Simon O'Neill, the president of AFET, and Miss Simone Francois Whittier, the president-elect of AFET, for joining us this morning and inspiring us here and now.
Thank you so much for having us. We look forward to seeing you.
Our pleasure.
Take care.
Guys, we take a break, give you the chance to catch up on all that we've talked about and more, because there is more when we return here on the Now Morning Show.
Patrice again.
The best for your baby is at thebesttoys.com. From the best strollers, car seats, baby carriers, high chairs,
booster seats, rockers, jumpers and bouncers, walkers, baby blankets, feeding accessories, bathtubs, gyms and playmats, playpens, cribs, baby swings, changing tables, diaper bags, clothing and accessories, and the widest range of educational toys. We carry Infantino, Dr. Brown, Avent, Graco, Chico, Fisher-Price, VTech, Leapfrog, Disney Baby, Delta Children, Medela, and Twist Shake.
Visit us in-store at Movietown, Port of Spain, Forces Flagship McBean, or Eastgate Mall, Trin City. Or shop online now at dbesttoys.com. No credit card required.
And remember, the best for your baby is at dbesttoys.com.
You are dearer to me than all the stars. So many wish but never reach. 'Cause when I'm falling and all the world seems dark, you help me find my peace. Oh, shun mi ba fishani. Oh, shun mi ba.
I am your mother,
aunt, grandmother,
guardian, friend, and I promise to protect you in all situations because someone has hurt you, violated you, harmed you,
abused you,
and you were brave enough to tell me.
You trusted me. You came to me for help,
to defend, for support, to protect you.
No amount of money
or bribes,
favors, or gifts will stop me.
You are most important to me.
You are worth more to me than any material thing.
I will do all in my power,
in my heart,
to make sure that you are taken care of and that justice is served and you thrive. Together, my daughter,
my son,
my child, we will live and love. I will protect you.
Break the silence. Report all cases of child sexual abuse.
It's your birthday, baby. Happy birthday today. I want to say a happy birthday going out to you. And I want to especially say happy birthday going out to Dr. Janet Stanley Marcano. We are wishing you heartfelt love coming from the Webbs, Edwards, Kerr family, all of those families, and of course all of your friends as well. So happy birthday going out to you, Dr. Janet Stanley Marcano. Hope you have a great day today.
Happy birthday.
I want to say happy birthday going out to a very special woman in my life. This woman has known me since I was a young woman. She has also helped me in my youth and has still been giving me advice even as an adult. I want to wish a very, very special happy birthday going out to Auntie Marilyn, who of course is not my blood relative. She's a close friend of my mother, but this woman has been with me, like I said, throughout my childhood and beyond. And I'm wishing her a happy 71st birthday today. Auntie Marilyn Cooper, happy birthday. It's coming out from your sister friend, Margaret Benjamin, from all your family, your friends, your daughters, Nadine and Nadia, your grandchildren. Everybody's just sending you love on this birthday. So happy birthday to you, Auntie Marilyn Cooper. I'm also sending happy birthday greetings going out to Mr. Eric Adams. Eric, happy birthday to you. I hope you have an amazing day today as well.
And let me join the birthday celebrations by first off saying happy belated birthday to my niece. I am terribly sorry that I didn't tell you. But let's say happy birthday going out to Jerome Ali Salandi, who celebrates his birthday today. I hope you have a good birthday, Jerome.
Big up Jerome.
I've actually worked on a few projects well with Jerome, so I hope you have a real cool fellow.
Yeah.
I hope you have a real cool day, appropriate for you. Let me also say happy birthday going out to the son of our director, Mr. Makesi Polony.
Oh, look how cute!
And I was about to say, as much as the name Rel grown, we're starting from small, coming all the way up, because more than anybody, I have to say, hats off to you for dealing with herders.
Oh, wow.
I hope that Danny helps you to celebrate the day in a grand way, that you know that you are loved, that you look forward to all that the year brings. A beautiful young man celebrating his birthday today.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. I love our cameraman. Backgrounds to you.
And somebody who was born on January 4th back in 1901, he would have passed away on the 31st of May 1989. So technically today would have been his 121st birthday as the anniversary of his life, of course. Historian, journalist, author, and Marxist, C.L.R. James, definitely an author, and he was portrayed by Joseph Marcellini in the movie Hero, which was, of course, done by Lisa Wickham and team for the extraordinary life of Ulrich Cross. So, and of course, we say good morning to director Francis Ann Solomon as well. Let me take a moment to say good morning to some of the fantastic people that I would have met last night to say that they watch the show every single morning.
Love it.
Specifically, I wrote down some names because all you know how this go. So, Deanne Romley, good morning, and thank you so much for being here with us. Anne Williams, thank you so much. Boots from Marabella.
Boots, boy.
Boots, say, make sure I say Boots from Marabella. So, Boots, big up you.
Boots from South.
Let me also say good morning to Vera Simon, who I didn't meet last night, but I met her daughter, and she said that Vera watches the show every single day. So, good morning to you, Vera. Hope you have a great day today. And I also met a young lady who told me to describe her in a particular way, but I'm not sure that I'm comfortable doing so. Some of them adjectives that she used was a little colorful.
Remember, you're outnumbered in the females, so first of all,
she gave me the
She gave the description, not me, ma'am. She gave. I'm not going on that road. Jillian, good morning. Jillian, you know yourself.
Use two of the adjectives.
One of them was vivacious.
I like it. That's fine.
And the others got a little questionable. And I don't remember the exact word she used because I was like, good. Jillian, good morning.
Vivacious.
Let me also say good morning and happy birthday in advance because I might forget on Thursday. Yeah. So, I'll do it again tomorrow if I remember. But in case I don't remember, Jamila, happy birthday in advance. Her birthday is tomorrow. And if you want to actually get a chance to be celebrated on the show for your birthday, if you want to get an interview on the show, all that good stuff, you can hit us up on the email to get on now at ttt.co.tt. Of course, you can also give us a call a little bit later on this morning, 622-4010, and send your shouts. Specifically, we want you to send shouts to the Black Stalin this morning. We're going to continue paying tribute to him here on the Now Morning Show. And you can also hit us up on Instagram at Now Morning Show or at TTT Live Online.
Just a reminder as well that, remember, the Ministry of Health, they are relaunching their vaccination program. It's actually starting on the 6th of January. What the minister is saying is that it's going to continue on Fridays and Saturdays only until the 4th of February. It's going to be available at 12 locations. And this vaccination drive, of course, is for people who are getting their first shot and also those who are getting their booster shots. Remember, the minister is encouraging everybody to come out. But, of course, for the booster and for the first shots, he is specifically targeting those elderly and the immunocompromised. So I know that in the following days, you are going to be seeing more details in terms of where you can go to on Fridays and Saturdays to get that either first dose of the COVID vaccine or your booster shot. So look out for that. It begins on the 6th of January. Now we're going to take a break and be right back. Remember, we have so much more coming up on the Now Morning Show. Stay with us.
At TTT, our journalists are on the ground seeking the facts and reporting on the people, events, and issues that affect your life. We have Trinidad and Tobago covered. From Cedarus to Charlottesville, Crown Point to Moruga, our news reaches further on any smart device. TTT News, first at 6:30 p.m. Follow us on social media at TTT Live Online. And for the latest updates, log on to www.ttt.live. TTT News, committed, accurate, relevant. TTT News, nightly at 6:30.
बेशक मेरे साथ ऐसा क्यों होता है? क्या कमी है मुझ में क्यों भगवान ने प्यार वाली लाइन मेरे हाथ में बनाई नहीं है क्या? भैया का भी प्यार नहीं मिला, भैया ने भी सोचा कोई चुना, सब कुछ उसी के नाम कर दिया और माती ने भी वही किया।
I am Penny Gomez, and welcome to Pop, the award-winning Pop. Aye, 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 it's the rhythm man himself, Shirley Winchester.
Oh, Panorama.
So, Shirley Winchester, this is your life.
I tried to find that sweet spot.
Oh, you got my sweet spot?
I wanted to create an image for myself. You see, I think I'm all my clothes on the stage.
And a stripper, that was what you decided to go with, Eddie.
Help
us. Help us, help us. You don't have to use all the ingredients. Use what you think will not give me diarrhea.
So mine kind of close to a bomb.
Are you allergic to peanut butter?
I'm just allergic to anything tasting bad. This shirt is throwing me off. The color seems extra long.
This one called Stay Home.
I think it's $20 wine they sell around here, cycle short.
There is no excuse for this.
Well, let's say I am the Zessa.
Hey.
And everybody feeling Irish. What we do? What?
It's again Didi and we outside. Yes, guys, we're back with season 2. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to Touch Tobago Live. We are on TTT Limited. We are giving you everything Tobago. So come touch Tobago with me now. Your girl Didi outside.
Girl get rough, get rude. Girl a wine, girl a wine, girl a wine.
Things I love about working in the marine environment is the large and unique number of species I get to see on a daily basis. The reason for this is that Trinidad and Tobago has one of the highest levels of biodiversity in the entire Caribbean. My name is Atish Kanhai, and I'm a marine biologist specializing in benthic ecology. One of the exciting things for me as a benthic ecologist is that we have one of the highest levels of benthic organisms in the entire world. A high level of biodiversity is something that we should celebrate as citizens of this country. One of the cool things about such a diverse habitat is there may be organisms that have not yet been discovered. For this reason, we should protect and conserve our biodiverse habitats as much as possible so that we may not lose anything that we have not yet discovered.
At my core, biodiversity is what makes me Belizean. Our Belize Barrier Reef, the second largest in the world at 195 miles, cements that fact. But in a changing world, climate change threatens Belize's ecosystems and more. The cost for inaction is irrefutable. It's our way of life. My name is Carolee Chinona, and as a Belizean, I'm here to shed light on what threatens our collective climate-resilient future, with a focus on the Belize Barrier Reef and all its ripples. Whether it's our more than 40% tourism-reliant GDP, over 15,000 commercial fishers, or coastal communities at risk, there is no time to waste. Time is now.
And we are actually going to be hearing from Carolee a bit later because January 1st marked the relaunch of Caribou, now a Caribbean-wide network of environmental content creators dedicated equally to educating the population about the Caribbean's vast biodiversity. They also focus on telling some inconvenient truths about climate impacts on the development paths pursued by countries of the region. And they also focus on celebrating the wins of sustainable practices and progressive actions. So as I mentioned before, joining us, of course, is Terrell Gittens, who, of course, is a Caribou coordinator and editor, and Miss Carolee Chinona, who we saw there, who is a writer. Now, Carolee is actually in Belize. She's joining us from Belize. And, of course, Tyrell is all the way in the cold, cool England. And we're going to be talking a bit about Caribou Network this morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on The Now Show.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Trinidad.
Now, I'm going to go across to you first, Tyrell, because I just wanted us to start in terms of, who is what is the Caribou News Network, and what are the content creators focused on? What sort of information are they putting out there?
Yeah, so firstly, the Caribou Environmental News Network is the brainchild of the Cropper Foundation, and it was started 2 years ago thanks to the support of the European Union's CSO for Good Governance project. And we have been able to continue the work we are doing at Caribou thanks to the support of the Answer Merchant Bank, Caribbean Natural Capital Hub. So basically, Caribou Environmental News Network was started as an initiative recognizing that there was a gap in environmental, in the role that citizens play in environmental journalism and, citizen journalism related to the environment. It was important for the Cropper Foundation to start Caribou because it is important to have lived experiences. It's all well and fine that there is the established media, but as well as the lived experiences in persons who actually are, at the front line of environmental changes and, various extractive industries that may impact the communities and their natural environment. Caribou wanted to empower citizens across Trinidad and Tobago to tell those stories. So it started with a training of about 30 to 40 citizen journalism and giving them the capacity building and the tools to empower them as citizen journalists. And recognizing the importance of the environment, not only to the world over, but particularly to the Caribbean region, we saw it fit at the Cropper Foundation to take the network regionally and help empower citizen journalists in other Caribbean countries to tell stories about the environment. So in our relaunch, over the past several months, I've been working with incredible journalists such as Carolee and different storytellers to create stories about the natural environment in the Caribbean and really place a spotlight on some of the issues that are facing the environment, but how we could also, create awareness and change. So Carolee is one
No,
creator.
Tyrell. I know that you, of course, the concept of Caribou, of course, it relies heavily on the citizen journalist. And so I'm wondering, does the person have to be a journalist? Because I know your background as well is in journalism. So if somebody wants to get on board, do they have to be a journalist with prior experience? Or as you mentioned, is it all about coming together with the interest and then going through the program and getting the tools to tell the story?
Yes, brilliant question. So a short answer is no. So very soon we'll put out a call for anyone interested around the Caribbean in submitting stories and videos and so forth on the environment to get involved with us, and we want to make this network accessible to everyone. So we welcome everyone with story ideas about their communities and the environment to get in touch with us at the Cropper Foundation and at Caribou. To submit their stories. We want everyone on board.
Now, Carolee, I'm coming to you because I know that you are a content creator. We just saw your video, of course, with you telling your story as it relates to Belize. What has your experience been? And even before that, why were you encouraged to join the Caribou News Network?
Thanks for that question. So really, I am an environmentalist at heart. So when I was approached with this opportunity, I really jumped at it because it gave me a platform to then bring my issues here in Belize as a Belizean to a regional level, which is really the heart of Caribou Network. It's citizen journalism. We're the ones on the ground experiencing this firsthand, whether it's climate change, it's, coastal erosion, it's, biodiversity loss. All of these different issues now have a platform to live on in different forms. It's not just written word, it's spoken word, it's video form, it's photography. And there's a place for us to now bring our regions together to tackle these issues holistically as well.
Yeah. And why was that decision taken to make this a regional entity rather than something that's just based in one separate country? And anyone can take this question, whether it's Carolee or Tyrell.
All right. Well, I definitely, and I'll also give Carolee the opportunity to respond as well. And I just think that the environment is something that is important to the survival of everyone in the Caribbean. So it's very important that we work together to not only learn more about the issues affecting the natural environment, but create solutions.
Yeah. Carolee?
I just wanted to echo on that and say public engagement and demand for meaningful action is really where the solutions lie. You know, we say these catchphrases as like 1.5 to stay alive, but we need a pathway forward that is credible. And a lot of the climate change affected regions, such as the Caribbean, you know, small developing island states, we're the first ones impacted. You know, we need to start talking as a collective and moving a path forward. It also impacts traditional income generators like fishing. We're a very nature-based tourism economy here in Belize, so climate change needs to be in every conversation. That's not just Belize as well. You know, that's the Caribbean. Especially as small developing island states, if we're talking as a region, our voice is a lot more louder.
Yeah. Carolee, as you're on that point, because you did mention climate change, I'm wondering what are some of the other dire environmental issues that we are facing at this time? And of course, you can use Belize as a reference point, but even if you have any other examples throughout the region.
Well, as I mentioned, Belize climate change is one of the largest. Climate change needs to really be in every conversation. It's a threat amplifier. But in addition to that, I would also say climate funding. You know, we can't separate environmental issues and economic development anymore. The only path forward needs to be sustainable development. I know oil is a big industry, or the main industry rather, in Trinidad and Tobago. Belize, about 45% is the last estimate for our tourism GDP. Second to that is agriculture. We need to have a path forward for funding, and as you know, we're all developing states. You know, although Trinidad is probably the most developed in the region, Belize is getting there, but we don't want to get that path forward through oil. So I think climate financing is also a very big issue, and we can't tackle any of these issues without funding behind it. And that also requires the developed states to take responsibility for their actions. When we are the ones experiencing climate change and its effects firsthand.
Tyrell, I'm going to come across to you to ask you the same question. What are some of those regional effects, or even as it relates to TNT as well?
Yeah, so I think Carolee would have made brilliant points. I think the first, major issue that we have to deal with in the Caribbean is, of course, climate change. Apart from just mitigating our emissions, finding ways to adopt more environmentally friendly practices, we also need to find ways to adapt in the Caribbean to living with climate change. It's something that's here, and it's something that we have to unfortunately learn to live with. And as Carolee would have highlighted, funding is one of those major issues. So there we need to call on the global north, which is traditionally referred to as developed countries, to make investments and to recognize their roles in climate change. We also want to ensure that we have sustainable economies. So economies that it needs to be a balanced relationship. Of course, we are going to have to use resources, but we want to use resources sustainably. So around the Caribbean, we need to find ways to make our fisheries more sustainable. And in countries like Trinidad and Tobago, which depends on oil, or even Guyana, which is now joining the conversation, with their recent oil discovery and how they will be producing oil. A question for Guyana now is, sustainable development and, yes, developing sustainably. So I think in the Caribbean, it's adapting to climate change and, of course, developing sustainable economies that could not only withstand environmental shocks, but could, of course, reduce the impact on the natural environment.
Yeah. And Tyrell, going back to the relaunch of the news network, I mean, who are you producing this content for, and what sort of impact are you looking for with the relaunch?
Yeah, so as we have been saying, in the meeting rooms, we do not want to preach to the choir. Being an environmentalist myself, I know that there are a lot of environmentalists in Trinidad and Tobago and around the Caribbean, but we really want to reach the wider public and people who want to become more informed about the natural environment, some of the issues facing the natural environment, and how they could live, more sustainably. And for those persons, again, as I would have highlighted earlier on, who may have ideas about how they could tell the story about the environment in their communities, we want them to reach out and get involved, because we want to empower them in their communities to really take the stewardship and custodianship of the environment and really, help create transformative change. It's all well and fine that we usually, make these issues about climate funding and so forth, but at the root of it all, it's about the community. It's rooted in the heart of the community, and that's where Caribou wants to reach the community. And I do believe around the Caribbean there is interest, and Caribou will help tap into that interest.
And Tyrell, quickly, of course, you mentioned you don't want to preach to the choir, you want it to be open. And so for an average citizen listening, how can we help, reduce our carbon footprint and ensure that we have a greener and cleaner economy?
Yes, I will encourage, as I would have said earlier, these issues are sometimes spoken to in such large terms, but it all comes down to what we can do on an individual level. Of course, I understand people have different socioeconomic realities, but if you can invest in solar power to reduce, your use on our natural resources, invest in solar power, invest in an electric vehicle, or if it's as simple as reducing the amount of plastics that you could do simple things like that, being conscious about the food that you eat, and just learning. There's a lot of information out there. Of course, we encourage you to get in touch with reliable sources like Caribou and other environmental sources, but learn. There are many ways that you could contribute to more environmentally conscious practices.
Nice. Well, let me thank you so much for joining us, Tyrell. I'm sending you all the warmth from TNT. And of course, Carolee, I know you already have that warm weather in Belize. So thank you so much for joining us here on the Now Morning Show. And all the best, of course, with the relaunch of the News Network.
I need it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
And that were two representatives from the Caribou Environmental News Network, just talking about the relaunch and, of course, their citizen journalist program where you yourself can tell stories about the environment. Stay with us, because up next we have arts and culture, and we are going to also be taking your calls as we continue our tribute to Black Stalin. Stay with us.
The best way tickets are at thebesttoys.com. Shop for the best brands you love at the best prices. Like VTech, Leapfrog, Fisher-Price, Play-Doh, Hot Wheels, Barbie, Cocomelon, LOL, Baby Alive, Crayola, Lego, Nerf, and remote control vehicles, kids learning desks, and educational toys. Ride-ons, bikes, drones, science toys, and board games and puzzles. And a wide range of baby items. We also have the best devices for school, like laptops, the Amazon Fire 7 tablet, the Amazon Fire 8, 10, and Kids Edition tab, as well as cases and accessories.
Visit us in-store at Movietown, Port of Spain, Forces Flagship McBean, or Eastgate Mall, Trin City, or shop online now at thebesttoys.com. No credit card required, and remember, we have the best toys at the best prices.
On the next episode of Nicole Larson Live, living in victory every day.
The lady that was born to shine. Who am I talking about? The icon, Carol Addison Lewis. Hi.
Hello. You're making me blush with that kind of introduction. I'm kind of looking over my shoulder. Now, who's talking about? Yes. Could that be me?
It has to be you. And even just before I ask you any other questions, when you get this sort of intro, how do you feel? Because it's coming from your own Trini people, Trinidad and Tobago.
We need to identify our financial goals for both the short term and the long term. Not only in terms of words, but also by attaching figures and dates to those goals.
Life does come with many curveballs, but don't allow the struggle to blind you from what God is going to do in you and through you.
Nicole Lawson Live, living in victory every day. Every Wednesday at 5 p.m. and Saturday at 7:05 p.m. on TTT.
The Mother Church of the Anglican Diocese suffered significant damage during the earthquake of 2018. Efforts are underway to raise funds to restore this national heritage site. You are invited to make your donations with monthly deposits at any branch of the First Citizens Bank, account number 2696950, Marval Road Branch, in the name of the Incorporated Trustees of the Anglican Holy Trinity Cathedral Restoration.
Welcome back to it, guys. Your Wednesday edition of the Now Morning Show, where we're talking arts and culture. And apparently we have a culture of causing the underdog to fight for his space. That is according to the man Turner, who 4 days ago took to Instagram in quite the lengthy post to share his grievances. To summarize, Turner claims that despite putting out great music for the last 4 to 5 years, he's not being supported, and claims that specific stations and even other DJs and presenters are not supporting his efforts. He rounds up the rant by saying that he does understand his place and will still persevere. So it's not the last we're hearing of him. However, he did want to take the time to acknowledge, and did so much so that he landed himself an article in one of our dailies yesterday. Now, the actual rant is quite long on Instagram in terms of premiering some of his new music, while the caption goes into the details of his grievances. But commenters were very much pro and anti his comments, some supporting it in the lights of, or rather, making the comments akin to the likes of blacks, saying that he suffered similar segregation and blacklisting, as Turner put it. Fighting, as Turner put it. While others actually chastised him, saying that this was the nature of the beast and that you needed to have tougher skin. So whether or not you agree to the comments, the fact remains that Turner has new music that you can check out, and perhaps you can be the judge as to whether or not he is in fact being given the shaft, or if it's just a case of not necessarily being a season. Now, I wanted to touch on that particularly because we do see that likeness with the likes of, like you said, blacks, but also many messages that the Black Stalin would have had. And we want to remind you guys that we are encouraging your calls within this segment pretty soon to give us your continued opinions, tributes, and thoughts on the passing of the legendary Black Stalin. But before we do that, I want to just remind the general public and Trinbagonians everywhere that one of us is missing. I know you guys touched on it yesterday.
Many of us are missing, but this one in particular we're going to talk about.
Theophilus London is actually a Trinidad-born American producer, artist, designer, holding many, many hats. And I thought it was important to underscore that again, because the genre of music and arts that he delves into may not be one that we Trinbagonians partake of very much, but he has worked with the likes of Virgil Abloh in terms of designing and styling. Most recently would have actually celebrated Burna Boy himself wearing one of his boots, his designs in a concert performance.
Is it the one he kicked down the person?
Theophilus, not that one.
Okay.
Theophilus also worked alongside Kanye West in many productions, worked with a few well-known house producers as well, and hasn't been seen since October. Now, it's really, really easy to get caught up in the hype of, you know, people living their lives, and you haven't realized that you haven't spoken to someone in a very long time. But To be missing since October means that everybody assumed all was well and didn't necessarily check in. So please also use this as a reminder to check in on your friends, your family, your loved ones. And let's not just wait till someone is gone to have to pay tribute to them.
I think it was also very interesting where he was last seen as well. It's Skid Row. Skid Row is known as the place where a lot of the homeless people reside in Los Angeles. So I know that that also raises some questions as well. But remember, of course, if you see him, you can reach out to the LAPD. Now, remember, we are taking your calls during this time. So remember, our numbers is our phone lines are open. 622-4010. Call us and tell us exactly your thoughts on Black Stalin. If there was a particular song or lyric that resonated with you, we would like to hear it. Also remember as well that the public viewing for Black Stalin takes place today at the J.E. Guide Funeral Home on Coffee Street in San Fernando. That begins from 2 and goes until 6. So if you want a last chance to see the black man, the Black Stalin, the first fireman, remember we have a public viewing that's taking place today.
And, you know, speaking of tributes to him, Valerie Green reached out to us and has some words to remember the Black Stalin by. Let's take it on.
Hi, this is my tribute to Stalin. I'm so happy to know that I spent some time with him before he passed, because Stalin and I go way back. I can remember when I first danced in the tent, the very first night I danced in the tent for Kitsch at the Princess Building. Stalin was the MC, and he was so nice to me. So we in my performance, we had a play which used to go down so good when I first danced. Stalin and Kitsch and I had a play with the tune called The Bump that I first started dancing to. And from ever since, we had a very friendly and nice friendship. And I would just like to send my condolences to his family.
Definitely paying tribute. And you know, one of the things that stood out to me last time, a lot of Calypsonians were saying to me that Stalin was so much more than just a Calypsonian in the tent. He would have been the person that was giving advice. He was sometimes the MC, he was sometimes the curator of the tent as well. We have Mova on the line ready to pay tribute. Good morning, Mova.
Morning, Chinbego Rockers.
Morning, brother. Happy New Year.
The beautiful people in TV land there.
Good morning.
Nice, hello?
Yes, yes, talk to us.
Yeah, let me send out the condolences first to begin first, but not least to the Khalid family. Stalin is a big loss to the Caribbean and to the cultural aspect of the Caribbean community where calypsos and things is concerned, you know. So we shed a big tear for the brother and his family, and he's in a better place where he could rest and reflect at the side of God. And let me say this, Trinidad and Tobago, after 60 years, as I saw Miss Maud this morning, 60 years in the business, steel band business, and I think we are onto something, or they could feel strong this morning, because I think we're onto a new dimension in pan, where we have created a new pan. The quality is the star pan. It's the shape of a hectagon. If you know a little bit of maths or arithmetic, you know the hectagon shape is like a 5-side kind of circle. All right? So those who were fighting us for the circle or the steel pan, they could hold on to it. We might have plenty young pan to sell them, because we enter a new dimension of pan. All right?
All right, no problem. Thank you so much, Mova. Enjoy your day.
But let's say hi to Gasparillo. Good morning.
I love you, sister. Have a nice day.
That was the message.
That was still south, yeah? So was that Gasparillo?
I think that was Gasparillo.
Mover still saying
that's all like Gasparillo. Gasparillo, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Happy New Year and welcome to the Now Morning Show.
Happy New Year. This is Patricia Remy Noel.
Hey.
Cousin.
Cousin.
I
Morning,
never
cousin.
get to meet him in person. I wanted to come last night, but I was too tired.
Oh gosh, I can.
That's all
After
right.
I saw you, and you look as usual, handsome as usual. But I just wanted to say, to send out condolences to the Kelly's family and to wish you all a happy New Year and all the best for 2023.
Thank you so much.
Nice, have a good one.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Bye-bye. We have Tunapuna next. Tunapuna, good morning.
East side.
Tunapuna, are you there? All right, Tunapuna, gone.
But
Wow.
as much as you would have, of course, seen the tributes and that sort, it's interesting on my end to watch younger DJs and more urban DJs who may not have the opportunity to always play a black style. And, oh, look at your face. Let it happen. No, I say the opportunity because in the sense of playing tribute, it continues to happen. So we are asking, DJs to play their favorite styles and whatnot. And it's interesting to look at what people favor more. I really thought I was going to get... First of all, negative Nancy.
Sorry.
Calm down.
It's been a peeve.
So Tunapuna is back
The
with
last few
us.
days it's been a
Tunapuna, good morning. Thank you for joining us on Now.
Good morning.
Morning, Tunapuna.
I got cut. I don't know for what reason. Anyway, I want to say about Stalin. Stalin was such a great Calypsonian. That here what happened. Stalin Calypso was based around himself, his people, and humanity, man on the whole.
Yes.
When you listen to Stalin, you understand? Such a great entertainer. Listen, he has Calypso that we haven't heard as yet. I heard a Calypso by Stalin called One Slave. I never heard that one radio station I heard that tone. That's such a great, the depth of that Calypso. It shows that he's a person, an educated person, a historical person, so you know what you're speaking about. All his Calypso, I love all his Calypsos. Such a powerful brother. I mean, he has gone to meet the ancestors, as all of us will do one day, and I wish him all the best outside out there. My people, my brother, I would like you to find that Calypso called One Slave at some time, and you can listen to it. All the best.
Will do.
Take care,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So
we
much
have
passion.
we have Sawa on the line. Good morning, Sawa.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Just one small correction there, Kimberly. Normally I hear you use your best convent English and you say police.
Convent English. I don't think that was convent English. Go ahead.
Well, it's not police, it's Scalise.
So I didn't say Khalees for the morning, so I'm not sure who you're referring to, but thank you for the correction.
You have corrected it, but yesterday you were saying police.
Oh, okay. So say it for me one more time.
Caliph. Rokas has it correct. Caliph.
So it is not
Definitely not Caliph.
So it is not the proper convent accent.
Yeah, there's not convent accent. Sometimes
Thank you so much for the correction, Sawa.
Diego Martin, good morning.
The convent accent, no.
Diego Martin. Diego,
good morning.
Guys, I can't get over it. I'm sorry.
No,
We seem to have dropped that Diego Martin.
convent accent.
Maybe it's the convent accent that dropped the call.
This is a nice, proud Success Laventil alumnus here, by the way. Let me just say that as well. All right? Big up to Success Laventil. Bred me, groomed me for 5 years, and I'm very, very proud of my alma mater. But thank you so much for clearing that up. But we do have a call on the line.
Good morning and welcome to the Now Morning Show. Happy New Year.
Hi, happy New Year to the team workers. Ianka, Kimberly, my darling.
Happy New Year, Sheldon. Happy New Year, Sheldon.
I'm same to you as well. Stalin, let's talk about Stalin. To me, Stalin was the voice of the black man, and he spoke from the perspective of normal people in society, and that is very rare for artists to do. Mostly the greats do that, like Michael Jackson, Bob Marley. They spoke from the heart of the people, and that's what Black Stalin through his music did, and his music will live on because I hear some classic that I personally love. Calypso, man. I'm a Caribbean man. I'm black man. That's one of the party. Great songs, and he will be missed. And to your family, Black Stalin, I want to say that, no matter you're gone and you're no longer here, you contributed something that even your children, your grandchildren could look back and say, yes, you were here. So you did a good service to our country. Thank you very much for that, Black Stalin.
Yeah, man.
Take care, children. Have a good day.
As you mentioned, the grandchildren, last night, Kivan Kalist, he performed at the event and destroyed the place.
Of course.
As in he was Black Stalin personified. Like on stage, he had similar movements. He had the crowd eating out the palm of his hands. Like when he was done, everybody felt like, yeah, boy. Yeah, he have it. He have the genes. He have the genes of the Black Stalin. He was able to do a fantastic tribute. And, I want to say condolences again to the family. It was lovely to meet Auntie Patsy last night. She was celebrating. She was having a grand time. So good morning to you, Auntie Patsy. I know this week is going to be busy. It's going to be hectic. And it's going to be filled with lots and lots of emotions. But know that we all support you, that we all have you, and we all love you. And we thank you so much for everything that you've allowed the Black Stalin to share with us, that you've shared him with us for this entire time inside his career. We take a quick break, ladies and gentlemen, and we come back with more inside the Now Morning Show. Stay tuned.
One time. Hold your head up. Hold your head up. Life may be rough. I tell you, times may be tough, but we must keep going. I feel in the pain. Yes, we keep holding strain, but we must keep fighting. Regardless of how it comes, we just can't surrender. We got to keep working towards a better future. We would never be always down and fighting to stay off the ground. You must remember, all day would come. While we appreciate the little life got to give, regardless what's the hood, we must think positive. Look on the brighter side.
Anytime you're right there. My ride or die for life. For life. You're right there. Anytime I want to call. Anytime I feel to fall. I know you will be right there. No matter how far you're right there. Anytime I feel to cry. I know you's my ride or die. It's just silent your way. Any day, anytime you're right there. Yeah, but stop to think about all the friends you have. I wonder who really for you. No matter what you're going through. Yeah, but put your trust in people who not genuine. Cause they say they're here for you. But when you holler, they're too busy for you. Where everybody know. Look how they gone away. Where everybody know. Can't seem to find them no way. Cause I need to have that one person that I don't need to give a reason to come and save me. But no matter what, you're right there. Anytime I want to call, anytime I feel to fall, I know you will be right there. No matter how far you're right there. Anytime I feel to cry, I know you're my ride or die. It's just a messenger way.
2023 coming down from Candy K, and she joins us on set. This one is called Ride or Die. Good morning, Candy K.
Good morning, Rokas.
How are you going?
Happy New Year. I'm good.
Happy New Year. How was 2022 for you?
Oh, it was hectic.
Nice.
I had a
Hectic is
bumper
good.
Christmas season with my parang band, Post Souvenirs. So yeah, and then straight into the new year. Just
Straight into the new year with brand new groovy soca.
Yes.
All right, tell me the inspiration for this one.
Well, over the pandemic, you get sick, you're alone, you're in your room, and you're just pondering about your friends and family that you can't see anymore, that sort of thing, and everybody rallying around there to support you, And then, of course, there are those that not around anymore, and they tend to disappoint you in life and that sort of thing. So a lot of that was going on in my mind during that time period, and that's where this song was born.
Tell me the process for you in terms of channeling all that emotion that you're talking about there, because that's plenty feelings you're talking about there.
Yes, it's a lot.
Yeah. How do you channel that into the music?
Well, basically, it was a rhythm that my brother produced, and he usually sends instrumentals my way. So that one actually resonated with me, and in my sixth state, I wrote that entire song. So no, it's an outlet. Honestly, it's an outlet. It's an outlet to channel that anxiety and depression and that sort of thing. I love music.
Yeah. So it makes it easier to cope. It's like a coping mechanism for you.
Correct.
It's therapy. Music is therapy, and I agree with that 100%. All right, tell me the plan for 2023.
Well, to perform this song as much places as possible and get the DJs and radio stations to play it. I mean, I did a music video, so I'm pushing that as well. And just hoping to get to perform.
Tell me about the music video. Who did the production and that kind of thing?
The music video was done by Garco Media Productions. That's a power couple, Gary Ferguson and Corinne Ferguson.
Okay.
Yeah, they did the whole concept of the video, and we did three scenes actually. So one was with me in this kind of luxurious place. It was actually at Hillstein Manor.
Nice.
So beautiful landscapes and everything. But that part of the video was where I was feeling alone, depressed, and then it moved towards my bestie, my ride or die, coming to save me, according to my lyrics. And then it ended up in a club setting. And I have all my friends and family rallying around me. So it's really a kind of tribute as well.
Is that the way to save ourselves from depression and anxiety?
Well, that's my way.
That is going to party. I ask that because we see that happening a lot with our music nowadays. We've been talking about people like Black Stalin for the past few days, few weeks, and I can't help but put the music next to each other in terms of what we currently have available versus what we had from these icons. And, yes, Black Stalin had party music and stuff like that, but there's always something to make us think, something to comfort us and that kind of thing.
Correct.
Is music still do that for you?
Yes,
Not just your music, music in general.
Of course. I love music that has a lot of meaning behind it. Yeah, it makes you think, and people very crafty with their lyrics. I hope to reach that point at some point.
Did you listen to the Black Stalin's music a lot? Are you familiar with his work?
Of course.
What did it mean anything to you?
Well, he was very people oriented and community oriented. So he wanted us to live right.
Yeah.
So
Definitely. He wanted us to live right, and we hope that we can do that. Candy, do you mind giving us a little piece of the track this morning to close off the show?
I just want to say this track was produced by my brother, Cleavon Narain. He goes by the producer named Just Cleve Productions, and it was mixed and mastered by two producers in Barbados, J-Evo and DJ Kai.
Nice.
Right? So, yes,
all right. So we're going to get to the song in a little bit. It's called Ride or Die. I want to encourage each and every one of you to go out there and make a difference today now, because together we aspire. And if together we perspire, then together we definitely can achieve. On behalf of Kimberly D'Souza and Will, I am Raucus, wishing you a fantastic Wednesday. Please be safe and make good choices. Candy K, let's ride or die to the top of the hour.
Anytime you're riding, my ride or die for life, you're riding. Anytime I want to call, anytime I feel to fall, I know you will be right there, no matter how far you're riding. Anytime I feel to cry, I know you's my ride or die. It's just a message away, any day, anytime. You ever stop to think about all the friends you have? I wonder who really for you, no matter what you're going through. You ever put your trust in people who not genuine? Cause they say they're here for you, but when you holler, they're too busy for you. Where everybody know, look how they're going away. Where everybody know, can't seem to find them no way. Cause I need to have that one person that I don't need to give a reason to come and save me. But no matter what, you're right there. Anytime I want to call, anytime I feel to fall, I know you will be right there. No matter how far, you're right there. Anytime I feel to cry, I know you's my ride or die. It's just a message away. Any day, anytime, you're right there.
हमेशा मेरे साथ ही ऐसा क्यों होता है? क्या कमी है मुझ में? क्यों भगवान ने प्यार वाली लाइन मेरे हाथ में बनाई नहीं है क्या? भैया का भी प्यार नहीं मिला, भैया ने भी सोचा कोई चुना, सब कुछ उसी के नाम कर दिया और माती ने भी वही किया।
with another edition of Caribbean Week in Review.
At TTT, our journalists are on the ground, seeking the facts and reporting on the people, events and issues that affect your life. We have Trinidad and Tobago covered. From Cetrus to Charlottesville, Crown Point to Moruga, our news reaches further on any smart device. TTT News, first at 6:30 p.m. Follow us on social media at TTT Live Online. And for the latest updates, log on to www.ttt.live. TTT News, committed, accurate, relevant. TTT News, nightly at 6:30.
Good morning. Welcome to TTT News. I am Roxanne Suraj, making the news at this time. The country recorded its 6th murder for the year so far. According to the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, the man has been identified as Nicholas Thomas of Crystal Drive, Movar. He was reportedly shot at a car wash located at Crystal Drive. Thomas was taken to hospital where he was pronounced dead. In 2020, Thomas were among 4 persons charged for a series of robberies and home invasions in western Trinidad. Do not be afraid. This is the advice of Acting Commissioner of Prisons, Deosaran Ramutar, to members of the public who may be concerned that reformed prisoners will soon be released. Speaking during the annual first working day interfaith service at the Universal Church in Port of Spain on Tuesday, Mr. Ramutar said an estimated 100 prisoners have been reformed and are ready for discharge.
Are wrongdoers among you that you embrace as brothers and sisters, and you're not afraid of them, because no one has harnessed them or yet caught them in their tracks. These inmates have been in the system for 30 years and more, are being scrutinized, judged, but finally repaired.
The acting commissioner said, by requirement, inmates who are serving long sentences have to be reviewed every 4 years. Inmates who embrace the prison reform program and have family support will benefit from the release. He said approximately 25 to 38 inmates who have finished their sentences are released daily.
What program have you made available? What program you have made yourself available to? Your temperament. Of course, not all inmates, because of the limited resources we have, are allowed to participate at the same time. So we do have a system of selecting best behave to engage in programs.
The estimated 100 reformed prisoners are awaiting a presidential pardon on the recommendation of the Mercy Committee. In other news, Tuesday was Black Stalin Day as declared by the San Fernando City Corporation, and to recognize the contribution of the late Dr. Leroy Calise, the Black Stalin, his music and television appearances are being prominently featured on local stations. San Fernando Mayor Junior Regrello said the celebration of his legacy continued with a free concert last night at Harris Promenade. The concert featured a number of local and regional artists who was backed by 2 live bands.
We are going to have the bandstand being prepared this today for this celebration this evening. Artists are calling to perform. They want to perform. And it's across the board. Artists are flying in today to perform tonight for Stalin.
For real?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Mayor Regrello promised a good show, all in honor of their San Fernando son.
Empowered Bob Marley.
I would as well.
From a global perspective, his views, his thoughts, his expressions, his music, it was wider than San Fernando in Trinidad. It's about the world and issues that impacted on us.
Celebrations continue on Thursday with a parade through the streets of San Fernando. 81-year-old Black Stalin passed away at his San Fernando home on December 28, 2022. Switching to sports, world-renowned rally driver Ken Block has died at the age of 55 following a snowmobile accident in Utah. Block also gained fame later in his life for Jim Gunn video series on YouTube. Block was riding a snowmobile up a steep slope when the vehicle upended, landing on top of him, the local sheriff's office wrote on Facebook. He was pronounced dead at the scene from the injuries he sustained. The sheriff's office in Utah said that Block had been riding with a group, but was alone when the crash occurred. A competitive rally driver since 2005, Block was Rally America's Rookie of the Year in his first season and went on to win Rallycross medals at the X Games and podium finishes at the World Rallycross Championship. He also competed in other action sports including motocross, skateboarding and snowboarding. And that was the latest news to the hour. I am Roxanne Suraj, wishing you a great Wednesday.
This is TTT. Live for local.
It's our Grand New Year sale
at thebesttoys.com. Huge discounts on all your favorite selections: bicycles, tricycles, scooters, skateboards, remote control cars, board games, drones, doors and accessories, doll houses, makeup kits, pools, and so much more. Everything is priced to go. Shop all your favorite brands: Graco, Barbie, Baby Alive, Bluey, Cocomelon, Crayola, Disney, Infantino, Fisher-Price, Hot Wheels, Fortnite, Kent, Leapfrog, Lego, LOL Surprise, Little Tykes, Movello, My Little Pony, Nerf, Paw Patrol, VTech. Visit us in-store at Upper Level Movie Town, Port of Spain, Forces Flagship McBean, and Eastgate Small Trinity. Don't miss this epic sale at thebesttoys.com. Sale in-store only.
Happy New Year from thebesttoys.com.
Welcome to thebesttoys.com.
From the most affordable to the best brands, come on down and shop with us today at
thebesttoys.com. thebesttoys.com. When it comes to bikes, scooters, ride-ons, we have the most affordable to the best brands. We have terrain and mountain bikes for the adults, those who want to go off-road: Kent, Movello, Huffy. We also have bikes for kiddies and scooters for kiddies as well. Themed scooters and bikes: Spider-Man, Paw Patrol, Princess Pony. We also have ride-ons, motorized ride-ons, so those kids could drive themselves, or you as the parent can control them with remote control. All this and so much more. The best bikes, scooters, ride-ons for the best prices at thebesttoys.com.